Hey guys, this is Those Guys with your host Matt Marrero, along with your other host,
Anthony St. Andrews.
and here we are, with a recorded podcast beforehand, in a different way that we usually do it, doing another episode of Friday Night Movies where we're talking about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. The second one, by the way, Secret of the Ooze, and I don't really understand how the world works sometimes. Uh,
I was honestly expecting you to start off with the whole Go Ninja rap, but I'll take this just as the same.
if I wasn't tired, I would have started off
Yeah.
with Go Ninja, Go!" But I'm just tired. I don't know if it's life or if it's just this movie. Um,
It could be both. Never rule out that possibility.
I won't. It's just I don't hate this movie,
Okay.
but it felt like a waste of my time.
Oh no, absolutely.
Yeah. This movie was just horrible.
hmm
Yeah, I don't. So like, just tell me, how do you feel about the movie?
Well, I remember you had messaged me saying I remember you said something along the lines of I'm not enjoying this one as much or something like that, and then I said yeah, I haven't seen it in a while, but I remember feeling a strong disappointment too. And then I went to rewatch it. I was like, wow, strong really wasn't enough of a word. This is just terrible. I mean, I will say one thing to defend it. The intro is just a masterpiece of bad cinema.
Why? How so?
I just love everything about that intro. They're all saying random one-off words. Donnie comes in with eclectic, and Mikey just eclectic. Wow, gets knocked the hell out. I love that. I love that Raph just picks the kid up and puts him in the trash can. What are you doing? It's for your own good, kid. All right, fine, I'll take your word for it.
I,
And a turtle man.
I actually liked the way the beginning worked out compared to the rest of the movie because it
Uh,
started off, nice action packed. We got to see the actor who, he was the Asian actor who was actually a stunt double for, I believe, Donatello in the first movie.
oh.
So yes, they loved him so much that they actually gave him a job, like an on-screen role job. So in other words, he got promoted via hard work. Like that was actually really nice. So I know for some people, and I understand why they would think it was more racism because it's just like, wow, you just introduced the Asian guy and he just knows kung fu. It's because he was a body double.
hmm
So he was actually in the suits, I believe, for Donatello in the last film.
Oh.
And they were just like, wow, you were so good. Let's just give you an on-screen role.
hmm
So, I know it seems a little racist, just random Asian pizza guy knows kung fu. And I understand, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, to be fair, it was an actual role for an Asian actor. And we kind of need those in Hollywood.
Yeah.
I understand it was cliche, but my God, he actually got a role. And he wasn't bad either.
hmm
But, so, do you know why this movie is so, we're going to say not good?
Before I answer, is there an actual legitimate right answer for this, or?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, my own answer is it for some reason just screamed like it was one giant commercial to sell turtle toys.
Okay, well, I'm not going to say that you're wrong. The reason why it was so bad was because of the fact that, okay, so first one came out in 1990.
Yeah,
Do you know when this one came out?
literally a year later.
Yes, 1991.
hmm
I understand, the movie doesn't involve crazy CGI or anything, but still, there's a reason why movies take 2 years to come out. You just don't, the amount of filming, they had to look at how the first one was blowing up, and while it was still in theaters blowing up, they thought, we need to film another one.
hmm
The amount of rushed, and it's a problem because you can tell that this one was rushed.
Oh, easily.
And it was so frustrating because when you look at the actual the budget, right? The first one. Let me see the budget for the first one, or not, whichever. What matters is, thank you, computer. When I need you on the air, what matters is right is I'm finding it for the first one now, but for the second one, the budget was 25 million, right? And it
Yeah.
made 79 million, so it made money, obviously. But for the first movie, I love this, by the way. Let me find the movie. It brought me to the comic book. It's like, thank you. That's what I needed. Um, It's like I want to see how many of those sold, and they sold well, but it's not what I was looking for. Yeah, 13.5 million. So this one, right, had $15 million more. Had
Mhm.
less celebrities because they didn't get some people back. I'm sure you may have noticed that some of the voices were different.
Yeah.
And somehow, some of the sets look like trash. Now, the trash that, in my opinion, I don't hate, right? Like, I don't. Okay, looking at Shredder's base, right?
Mhm.
I would normally not hate a set like that at all because I watch Power Rangers and Super Sentai. Who the fuck am I to judge?
Uh huh.
But I will judge you when you're
Mhm.
on a $25 million budget and it literally looks like Shredder's base is on a set for
Mhm.
Paramount. I'm sorry, New Line Cinema.
Uh huh.
Like it didn't look like it was a real place at all.
Mhm.
Like there was no on location. There was just a set where they just built stuff around. And you can even tell it's just like there's no night sky. It's just an entire set.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? It was
Yeah.
very again rushed. Also, how did you feel about their comedy in this movie? Like the turtles or just in general, the tone?
I think here's the thing. I think the first movie struck a really good balance in
Mm-hmm.
terms of the comedy.
Yeah.
I think this one just kind of went full blown comedy. Like the best thing I can compare it to is for those of you that are caught up with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. If you watch the first Thor and you watch the second Thor, I feel like the first Thor had an interesting mix of it. The second Thor, they kind of, in my opinion, turned him into a bit of slapstick comedy, and I
Mm-hmm.
really hated that. And that's what I felt they did here.
Yeah, I am not a big fan. Because here's the thing, right? I mean, obviously, this is Ninja Turtles. And, the cartoons were doing this for a bit. And I even think that, after you read a lot of the comic books, jumping into the first one, you're like, oh wow, more humor. And then you have to,
Exactly.
like, remember, like, right, there's a cartoon show, and that's where they're doing this right now. You
Uh huh.
know? But this one, I feel like, was just a complete. Like, look, I'm not saying the first one was so dark and edgy and it was so super cool, guys. But I do think that what to me didn't even seem that dark, right? They were able
Mhm.
to do it, and here they just had it so lacking that you sat back and you're like, wow. Like the first one was made for with kids in mind, but also I think a nod to people who read the comics, or at least watched the show and who were a little bit older. But for this one, it was clearly made only for kids, other than random jokes that maybe the adults will pick up on.
Mhm.
And nothing like, I don't think it was anything perverse. It was just like, I believe they made references to, what was it? I forgot who they made references to, but I believe some reporters at the time, like Cronkite and stuff like that, you know?
Yeah.
Oh no, they made a Wayne Gretzky, I
Right.
believe
Right.
that's the
Gretzky.
one,
Okay.
yeah.
Mhm.
But also, just stuff that the kids don't get. Obviously, the Casablanca stuff will always get to me.
Mhm.
Just, I'm sorry, kid. It's just you gotta board that plane. It's like, damn it, come on, Michelangelo. Because, and again, I'm not gonna sit here and say this movie was trash, complete garbage,
Mhm.
but it was definitely rushed, and like no one can deny that. Like you can like it, but you can't deny that it was rushed.
Oh, absolutely.
And it was a big problem because of it being rushed. I mean, I don't know if like Corey Feldman wanted more money because he could
Mhm.
have. Because I mean, the movie did well. It's like, hey, pay me more. They're like, no.
Mhm.
But the issue is that none of them were as replaceable as they thought.
Exactly.
Like April O'Neil, like her actress, not replaceable. Actually,
uh,
not a big fan of April in this film. How did you feel?
you and me both.
Yeah. Now, do you think it was the actress or the writing?
I think it might have been the writing. I mean, the thing is, I've never really seen the actress in anything else, so I can't really speak to her acting ability. I think maybe they just kind of threw her in there last minute.
Okay.
They're like, this is what we wrote, just do your best.
I understand. I bring it up though because I don't like again. I've also never seen her do anything else, but what I do see is that it's very awkward starting her off with this character arc that she's like, "Man, I'm so sick of you guys," but we've never met her before. You know,
Exactly.
we've never seen this version of April, so it's a little weird because it's just like you're just meeting her for the first time and you're like, "Oh, she's being mean to the turtles that I like." What? How am I supposed to respond? And then it's frustrating because you start to dislike April during the movie because even during parts when she's not supposed to be that way, it just gives off that vibe.
Yeah.
Just like, guys, ugh. Where the first one still had like a don't be idiots, but with like a smile on her face.
Mhm.
Oh, this is what matters, actually. Because, I mean, like, people get replaced all the time. In fact, I'll even say that in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I would like some people to get recast if it calls for it. You
Mhm.
know? So I'm not going to say recasting is the worst. What matters, though, is when you're making a franchise, right?
Mhm.
How do you feel about the Shredder being brought back into it so quickly?
Oh man.
Well,
I really would have
you
preferred.
sound so happy.
Yeah, I would have preferred worst case scenario third movie.
Yeah.
Definitely not second.
No.
And to add insult to injury, he became Super Shredder, which really bothers me so much.
Why does that bother you? That seems natural.
I mean, it doesn't bother me that it happens. It bothers me that it happens in this movie.
Fair enough, fair enough. Okay.
Yeah, I had nothing against the design of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just if we could have put that off for like the next movie, because during making the second one, they had to know there's going to be a third.
Yeah, I know. Like, I think in their heads they were just like, quick, cash grab. Not even just promoting the toys, just general promoting the fact that the first one did so well that it's like we must come out with the second one, and it's like this is how you burn through your franchise.
Pretty much.
And I don't remember the third one, but if I'm remembering it correctly, I think they go back into the past or something, and I'm sitting back now. Well, it's funny because I think without reading the comics, you're like, wow, they just ran out of ideas. But while reading the comics, now knowing they go back into the past, it's like, yeah, that makes sense,
Yeah.
actually.
Mhm.
But I do think that they ran through some ideas a bit too fast, and by having Shredder immediately, it's just like, what are you doing? You know, because first off, I mean, some would say, oh, well, there's no impact. It's like, yeah, exactly. That's why in the comics, they waited a bit before Shredder just appeared again.
Exactly.
And then when he did, it was like, oh, snap. But this one, it's literally one film. Like, you don't have your main villain that, is dead or whatever appear in the second movie because it just negates it.
Mhm.
You have him maybe cameo, lie dormant mostly, then he appears in the third. But the
Yeah.
fact that he just showed up and it was just like, what? It didn't do much for me.
Exactly. I mean,
Yes. By the way, do you know about the whole TGRI, TCRI thing?
No, actually.
Okay. Alright. So remember when I told you in the comics that there was an organization where, like, the Turtles busted in... I'm sorry. They captured Splinter after he got attacked by Mousers?
Yes.
And when Splinter's walking around, he hears them all talking, and he's just like, okay, I have to get away. But as he's walking past them, trying to sneak past, he looks at them, and he's like, literally, I think he says something just like, like, by God's, by Buddha's ghost, or something like that, right? Something that has to, like, show that he's Japanese. And then you see the panel, and it's a bunch of Krangs.
Oh.
Like, it's a bunch of his race, right?
Yeah.
That's TCRI. So
Oh.
apparently they took the idea of like just this organization that helped create the turtles by accident and they made it into TGRI. Now the difference is the C is cosmic, i.e. aliens. This one is global. Yes. So it's a bit of a departure from the comics, but it was still interesting I think to have in here because I was like, "Wait, TGRI, TCRI, that's what?" And it's like, "No, Matt. It was, it's similar concepts, but they changed some things up. And yeah, let me see the exact, because I want to see the exact, damn it, I'm so mad, because I'm looking around like, well, so what's a TRI part mean? They're just like, the C and the G, it's cosmic and global. I'm like, thank you, what about the fucking rest of it? There are other letters in this thing. But, oh, by the way, what was interesting was they were able, speaking of casting though, they brought a lot of people back.
Yeah.
Like they brought back, I believe they brought back the Shredder from the first one.
Fairly certain it was the same guy.
At least voice wise it was.
Mm-hmm.
But I believe they may have used a different. Yeah, they used a different actor actually, like behind the mask.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They used a different guy. But in terms of who dubbed him over, that was the same guy. They also got what is it? They replaced half of the Ninja Turtles.
Mm-hmm.
Just tears. They kept Splinter.
Okay.
And, they kept the guy that played and dubbed over Tatsu.
Did they really?
Yeah.
Oh.
And, what else? Is this who I think it is? Please tell me this is who I think it is. This is, yes, Frank Welker
Oh, crap.
was Toka or Taka and Razar, the two, like the wolf and the snapping turtle.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was both of them.
Oh, I didn't even realize that. That's awesome.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And if by the way, making a small cameo, you may not have noticed because it was very subtle. Vanilla Ice was in the movie.
Oh, no, I caught that right away.
Okay, good, because I think
Yeah.
there's a lot of people that were just like, wait a minute, I think I see Vanilla Ice back there, and in front, and dancing, and talking to the crowd, and singing about the turtles, who are ninjas.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Oh, another thing, by the way, many people upset that they didn't really use their weapons in this film
Mm-hmm.
as much.
Yeah.
Because they wanted to tone down the violence.
Huh.
Now, I understand that this is a violent, thing going on here, right?
Mm-hmm.
However, maybe don't adapt Ninja Turtles.
Exactly.
Maybe mutated, teenage even. Like, I'm sorry, but like, you know what I think it really was though? I think it was okay. So many people today talk about how Tilda Swinton as the Great One and Doctor Strange is a global move,
Uh-huh.
right? Oh, we can't have it be Tibetan because then, certain Chinese viewers may be upset. And we can't cast an Asian actor that isn't Tibetan as a Tibetan person because, good God,
Mm-hmm.
people would freak out, right?
Yeah.
Now, how does this relate here? It's not so much like in Gravity Falls where they had to remove a scene where it was a gay couple was there because maybe Russia would be upset because Russia not so kind to gay people, or just about gay marriage. Not so much that necessarily, like not those extremes, but the idea that I don't know if you know about this, the censorship of Ninja Turtles in the UK. Did you know about that?
No, actually.
Oh, it's been a huge thing, and I know I'm going to sound like I'm making a parody because I do this for a living with you, but it's legit. They have censored it for years. I don't know if they've changed it recently, but it has been Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles.
Are you
Because
serious?
yes, look it up right now. Just literally look up because ninjas are violent, and they would air the cartoon, but they would literally put censor bars over the weapons like the nunchucks, the sai. Yeah, no, the bow. Yeah,
Oh my god.
it's fucking crazy. So when the movie came out, they removed any scenes that were a bit the first one. They removed any scenes that were a bit too violent or where they used the weapons. So I wonder if like that and also maybe parental complaints. They were just like, "Oh, we'll use them less." But it was a problem because what it ended up doing is like I'm cool with them using it less. The problem is for some reason it had to equate to them being less competent.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm cool with them using their weapons less. I'm cool with them making more jokes, right? Because again, the '80s show did it. But when they had to quote unquote kick shell, they kicked shell.
Yeah.
The problem in this movie is that there was so much shell to kick, but none of it could be kicked. They could not do any of the shell kicking. Why? We ask. So yeah, I got to admit it was real frustrating, man.
Yeah, I mean, they did, in all fairness, take out a dude with their shells back to back.
Yes, but it was very scarce shell kicking.
Mm-hmm.
Good God. No, but seriously, it yeah, I wasn't a big fan of I wasn't a big fan of I mean, I wasn't a big fan of the action, but again, some people saying, "Oh, it was toned down." At first, I was like, "I don't know what you're talking about." The action at the beginning was great, but yeah, they used their fists because apparently that's better than using the weapons.
Yeah, I mean,
You still
at one
have
point,
violence.
Mikey even pulled out some sausage links to use as nunchucks.
When you have nunchucks. But what was it? But jumping back to the TGRI thing. So how did you feel about their origin story also being Like, they tackled so much in this movie, yet so small, you know?
Uh,
Like, their origin story being tackled, right? It's not as if it wasn't a big thing, but they spent enough time, in my opinion, on the farm in the first one to reflect on
mhm,
Master Splinter not being around.
mhm.
But then in this one, it's just like, oh, you know, you guys, like, you were born here and shit.
I was actually gonna bring that up, like
Hmm.
because my whole theory on them even including that was it was basically a time filler. Did you think the same thing, or did you think like they actually legitimately wanted to do that whole scene again?
That does, I think it makes sense, but I mean, the thing is that I think they just wanted to give the turtles bigger and badder things. Like, okay, and maybe they cut some things out, right? Or they
Mhm,
had other more I guess I'll say that they had other scripts, right? Other drafts where they
mhm.
focused on it a bit more heavily. The
Okay.
problem is that, in my opinion, they did not focus on it heavily here. So it felt like such a tiny subplot where the turtles meant jack shit,
Mhm.
right? Where
Yeah.
like all you have is you just have I believe it was Leonardo being like, "Wow, Master Splinter, you know, why?" And I was like, "Okay, good." No, I was like, "Good," but
Yeah.
everyone else was just like, "Da da da ba ba," gotta do other shit. And I mean, yeah, they were busy, but like it kind of was just like, "Whoa, this is where we came from." Cray, all right, gotta do some other stuff. Bye. It's like that probably required some more meditation, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I actually have a question for you, seeing as how you've read the comics and I have not yet.
Okay.
Bebop and Rocksteady. At the
Yes.
point of this movie's release, were they like a thing in the comics, or
You want to
even
know?
in the cartoon?
I don't. Okay, I actually haven't gotten up to this point in the comics, but actually, what matters is that I thank you for bringing that up because they were in the cartoon,
Yeah.
but the creators of the comic book said they didn't
Mhm.
want Bebop and Rocksteady in the movie because I believe they were cartoon exclusive or there were rights to go through that they
Okay.
didn't want to go through. So
Mhm.
they were up for making two new people. Like, it sucks for us because we're like, no, Bebop and Rocksteady. But it
Mhm.
wasn't like some movie thing that some heartless Hollywood writer and producer thought up. Like, yeah, let's do. No, like the creators were like, nah, let's just not. You know,
Okay.
which is funny. So you sit there and you're like, well, that was their wish. I mean, it sucked not having them. I like the two new ones though.
Yeah.
But you know, it would have been nice to have Bebop and Rocksteady.
No, actually, absolutely. Because as soon as I saw them, I immediately thought, why did they not go with Bebop and Rocksteady?
Yeah, it makes sense, you know,
Mm.
when hearing about this.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, so I mentioned you before. You know, the Ninja Turtles seemed a bit more incompetent.
Mhm.
So was it just me, or did it? Because here's the thing, right? It's cool to like not be able to use your weapons. That's fine. But
Mhm.
to me, you know, did it feel like they just forgot that they were ninja?
Oh,
Like, did
absolutely.
that just like I understand, you know, you're gonna get caught in a trap because like it can happen, but like they got caught in a trap in a way that was like, you know, if we were to get caught in a trap, and I'm like, guys, this is so wrong. Cut,
Yeah. It's.
cut. We can cut.
Mhm.
All right, we good. Um, well, wait, give me. Yeah, I'll say this. Wait, I was like, yeah, I was saying it's so wrong. Okay, so we'll start from it's so wrong. It's so wrong. Like, just you're a
Mhm.
ninja. What are you doing?
It
What are you?
literally. Yeah, it just felt like, well, something's gonna go bad, so I guess we should help out in any way we can, even though we clearly have no skill.
Yeah, I was frustrated because the reason why. By the way, you're cutting in and out, Anthony. But the reason why I was frustrated, right, is
Mm.
because of the fact that you seem to be back. I hear you again. Um, but
Yeah.
yeah, I was frustrated simply because you know I'm sitting back and at least with the actor, I want to find the character's name just because I don't want to keep on calling him the Asian. No, Keno, right? Keno. Um,
Mm.
he, you know, he could just find them immediately. And I was like, guys, you hid from another kid who, to be fair, wasn't a ninja, but he kind of was because he was working with Shredder.
Yeah.
So like another kid, you know, you're able to like, I understand. Oh, but it's a new apartment and it was out of nowhere. But they're ninja. Like you completely just like Throw away the fact they're ninja if they can't hide for 5 seconds.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I don't know. Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of like how it just again I'm cool with focusing on comedy, but it felt to just overshadow everything.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But how'd you feel about their new bass?
I was into it actually.
Okay.
Mm.
So I liked it too. Not enough to say that I think we should have had it,
Oh, absolutely.
but I do like it. I mean, they need to find a new place, I guess. It's funny. It's like, we need to find a new place. The last one wasn't actually destroyed, though, right? There was no fire.
No.
So, it's just. But the Shredder will come back. The Shredder's dead. That's the whole point of your confusion when he's alive. Right! So it's just weird.
Mm-hmm.
But, oh, how did you feel about their suits? The turtle suits.
Were they different?
Okay, so they were.
Yeah.
Now, I don't have any actual confirmation on this. I should probably. It's like, I have the page up. I should probably look. But the reason why I say that they have to be new, right? They must, because they looked a bit darker, sleeker, and they fixed the neck problem.
Yeah.
Because they knew we're gonna get them out of the shadows.
Mm-hmm.
So because we're gonna get them out of the shadows, we definitely need to, fix the neck thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, again, to me, I personally feel like they were new or they were touched up upon. If they were not, I don't know what to tell you. Because the necks were really, like, there was a really big, I guess I'll say, disconnect between the neck, literally disconnecting, between the neck and the head, to where in the first movie, if they were in the light, right, you would notice, like, oh, damn, that head can just pop right off.
Yeah.
But this one, it connected. I don't know how it did, but it did. So I thought that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But how do you feel about them turning? They turned Kid Fight Club into Kid Karate Dojo.
Oh God.
Yeah, how'd you feel about that?
If we're talking from a logistical standpoint, I don't know how I feel. If we're talking from pure amusement, I thought it was hysterical.
Okay, so we'll give it that at least, right? I did enjoy it, so it was a thing. Yes. Oh, by the way, so speaking of Kino and Raph's plan, I thought it would work. Like, I was behind it.
Oh, I thought it was going to be foolproof.
I think what was frustrating, though, is that, like, you know what was really frustrating, too, by the way? If the ninjas were competent, then I think I would be cool with them being like, hey, Kino, you can't do this. You're just some dude. But they were so incompetent throughout the movie that it was kind of like, no, I'm pretty sure Kino's got this. He might want to teach you some things.
Seriously.
So I think it was just really awkward because also I might just be a problem a problem, I use quotation marks, in the sense that the actor was just so good at his stunts that he kind of put them to shame at some points.
Yeah.
Because while they have to extend the scene to show how cool the turtles look, they're still taking a while with these guys, while Kino would have taken out like 3 or 4 of them at once.
Yeah.
But, oh, by the way, so I mentioned Shredder's bass before. How do you feel about the bass?
It was okay. It wasn't the best, but I didn't have a strong hatred for it. I just wish it was a bit better.
Okay. And it's funny, right? You might think, oh, so Matt, you have a strong hatred from before. No, not a strong hatred. Because, again, I love sets like that. It's just, sets like that usually do not have $25 million budgets.
Exactly.
They're from made-for-TV movies. And that's cool, right? But they're from made-for-TV movies. So it's just, it's a little frustrating that it ended up, looking like that. So what is it? So, okay. We're at wow, we're making some record time here. This is how much we love this film. No, because I'm looking at the time, right? And we currently are talking about the Go Ninja song.
Oh, God.
Yeah, no, like...
I've been waiting for this.
Okay. Good God. That's what I'll say. So in a seamless transition, because we obviously didn't cut to do other things, did you know that Super Shredder was played by Kevin Nash? I know that sounds like a setup to a joke,
Uh,
but if you look it up, the man behind the Super Shredder, like the actual like person in the costume, was Kevin
yeah,
Nash, the wrestler.
I'm looking at that right now. Holy shit.
I love it. The second I said that, you're like, okay, he can lie to me, whatever. All of a sudden, click, click, clack, clack. He's not lying. He's not lying. Ah.
They really got Kevin Nash.
They
Holy
really,
shit.
they really did. It's beautiful. But let's go back to the Go Ninja song because that's what
Okay.
we cut out on for a second.
Mm, mm,
Okay, I got to be honest with
okay.
everyone here.
Sure.
I love it.
Okay.
I love the Go Ninja song.
Mhm.
I don't fucking like how it was implemented. It
Okay.
was one of the stupidest things that I've ever seen.
I was really getting nervous there when you started with I like this song. Let's bring it back down to reality, Matt, please.
No, 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 no. I like this song.
Oh,
I
so do
think
I.
that this song. I mean, seeing it in the if anyone had seen those commercials, I believe it was last year. We're in 2016 right now, right?
Mhm.
And I believe it was last year where, or maybe it was 2 years. Actually, it might have been 2 years ago because it was promoting the new Ninja Turtle movie at the time, and
Mhm.
it was Vanilla Ice in the grocery store
Yeah.
where it's just like go ninja, go ninja, go, and it was like, Are they really doing this? What's my life right now? Right? I think that was nice, and there's nothing wrong with having Vanilla Ice, like doing this song. I think the problem is just that I mean, look, I understand. Vanilla Ice at the time was not necessarily well liked. Same way Justin Bieber is not well liked today
Mhm.
so much,
Mhm.
but depending on your crowd. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like it's just how it happened was so fucking stupid. Because
Oh yeah.
again, they forget. I mean, look, I know that they get lost in the moment, they being the turtles, because they're a bunch of wackadoos. But you can't just have them. You can have them fighting because it's like crap. We have to save these people. But then they're like, you know what? Let's just dance. And you can tell that the dance number was made because they sat there and they were like, if people love this, we're gonna put them on tour.
Uh-huh.
And if anyone doesn't remember, the Ninja Turtles went on tour. Do you remember that?
No.
Wait, you actually don't know that, dude?
No.
Again, I love that everything I'm saying today sounds like a setup to a bad joke.
Yeah.
Google it right now. The Ninja Turtles went on tour as if they were performers like Vanilla Ice, and they performed musical numbers.
Jesus Christ.
Yes, at the height of their career, they were touring like they were a pop band. I don't know
Oh
who
my
voiced them
god.
over. You're
It's
what?
called.
You're
It's
seeing it right now.
literally. It's called Coming Out of Their Shells tour.
Thank you. Yes.
Holy.
I love that you didn't know about this.
No, I had no idea.
You're a huge fan.
In other news, it comes in at 51% on Rotten Tomatoes.
The tour?
Yeah.
Oh, because there was a DVD of it.
Yeah, and
Okay.
it's on YouTube.
We're not reviewing that. You have to pay us to review that. We're not reviewing that. I'm not doing that one. I'm not. No. I do a lot of things for free, and because I like them or I like something about them, right? And again, in this movie, it sounds like I've said nothing positive, right?
Uh,
I do like some of the comedy, right? I do like the action overall. I like the designs for the two new monsters. I think they were done really well. Um, I like that at first they didn't show Shredder's face because it was like, oh hey, we got a different actor. Everyone's gonna notice. Let's not show him. And then they just started to because they were like, nah, never mind. But I think cinematically, like it was a great. It was a lot of cool camera cuts and camera shots rather to not show Shredder's face, and I enjoyed that. Also, again, Asian Shredder, minus Kevin Nash, but he doesn't really count. But I want to think of anything else before we, because I really want to cut off on either Kevin Nash or I don't want to cut off on Go Ninja Go. But yeah, it was a huge, like, it's funny because I think that was the moment for anyone. It was near the end of the movie anyway, so they probably should have noticed throughout the movie. But that was the moment for people who were just like, I feel like this movie is a bit more for kids. I don't know if this movie's for me exactly. That was the moment where they sat back and went, wow, it is not. Now, my question is, though, do you think this is the moment where they, and I don't like this term, But again, I can see a lot of people bringing this up. They quote unquote sold out.
Oh, I wouldn't know if I don't think I'd necessarily say sold out, only because I don't remember the third one too well. I want to see that one before I say anything for sure.
Yeah, you're wondering if there's gonna be like 80 different like clothes changes, and you're like, wait, I have those toys. Oh God, they were doing it to promote those toys. All right, I understand that. I mean, I wouldn't argue that because there was a lot of turtle merchandise before this movie. If your argument is they're sold out, they have merchandise and all this stuff, like Ninja Turtles, for people who might not remember, got popular immediately. Like they were literally an overnight sensation. Now that does not mean that I'm talking about from the comics, by the way. So that does not mean that they were able to like retire with like $1 million contracts or anything. But I have to be honest, the comic books, right? It was all self-funded. They did not think they'd make anything of it, but a bunch of people in their area bought it because they were like, "Oh, damn, this looks really interesting." And then it became, from the way they describe it, from the comics itself, because the creators write forwards a lot. Literally, it was an overnight sensation. They were sitting there like, man, hopefully we make enough to recoup the costs for actually printing this because we had to borrow the money from people that we know and love to print this. And then the first printings were just sold in about, like, I believe, like a week or something. Just all the first prints, all like 400 copies. And mind you, this is in the 80s, so there's no social media to promote this.
Yeah.
Just people loved it that much. And then, of course, it kept, more comics, kept on coming out. And then just a few years later, we had the animated series, So, because this movie is a while. Like, it's not like this movie came out immediately, like, after the comic books got popular. Because then I'd understand, like, oh, wow, like, like, I understand people trying to say, like, oh, it sold out, so whatever, yada, yada. But honestly, like, this movie, the 1991, obviously, the second movie, The Secret of the Ooze. By the way, bad title. I gotta put that out there.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Like, it just hit me. Like, yeah, that's right. Fuck that title. Ninja Turtles came out. Let's see. I want to make sure that I don't want to get anything wrong on the radio, as if we never get anything wrong. Don't want to get anything wrong. Came out in 1984. So this is 7 years after they came out. Like it might seem slow in terms of like overnight sensation to me is more so like if a movie came out in like in the next like 3 years or something that it came out. But to be fair, again, in my opinion, the comic books really hit it off. Like really took off. And that's good. So in other words, I wouldn't say this is exactly selling out. But I would say that it definitely like because I think it was rushed. It focused heavily on humor to the point where it in a way because again, I know that the animated series also focuses on humor as well. And they'll have fourth wall breaking moments or other fun stuff. But this really felt like it was just too much slapstick.
Definitely.
Too much. And I love slapstick. Like, that's probably my middle name. But it should be... Yeah, my Christian name. Christopher is my Satan name. Christ is in it, but whatever. So, yeah. Overall, though, you didn't like the movie. Like, just...
No.
Okay. And you like the first one more. So right now we're looking at first one, second one, which is the standard, I think, for many movies. Man, we have to see how the third one's going to go. Good God.
It can only go up from here. No, that's not true. It can go down.
No, ho. Just remember 90s sequel cash grabs, Anthony.
Yeah.
It potentially can only go down from here. Hey, I know we're in the past, but what's Vanilla Ice doing here?
Jesus Christ.
Ikuze ninja ikuze. Because mind you, they're in feudal...
I really want you to understand you literally have me on Google checking the cast list for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3. Because I'm really scared.
Mind you, if anyone doesn't remember, I'm pretty sure they went back to feudal Japan.
They did, yeah.
Yeah. So
literally
it's
just look up the poster. It's amazing.
Good God. Yeah. So sadly, we'd have to wrap things up real early, under the hour. Usually, we don't do that,
Uh,
right? I mean, just the last one, I think we went up to like an hour and a half. The last
yeah.
Ninja Turtles movie. We did stuff in the middle. Like, it's funny. We've been recording these in a way where I have to admit, I don't remember what the last podcast was.
Mm,
I'm gonna say it was The Dark Knight,
I
but I don't
think
know.
so.
I don't know, because we did that so long ago. We did it before Batman v Superman.
Right, right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah. And heck, this might not even appear when it should.
Mm-hmm.
So apparently that's that. Well, we want to thank you all for listening in. And right now we're about to go into the whole spiel, the whole social media spiel. And again, want to thank you all for listening in. Just want to mention that we have our website, thoseguysontheradio.tumblr.com, for our podcasts. We also have our merchandise at cafepress.com/TGOTR merchandise. And we also have it on Screened, SKREENED.com/TGP merchandise. Different sets of merchandise in both places. Go check them out. And that merchandise relates to our Let's Plays as well, which on YouTube you can find them by searching up Those Guys Play. Or you can also find our podcast on YouTube by searching up Those Guys on the Radio. And you can find our Nerd News Show and some other fun, quirky stuff that we've been working on by searching TG Productions on YouTube, right? But back to our podcast, we talked about our website. We also have our Facebook, which is /Those Guys on the Radio, our Twitter, which is @Those Guys Radio, and our Instagram, which is /Those Guys on the Radio. We're also on iTunes, so search up Those Guys. Yes, search up Those Guys, or Those Guys Radio, Those Guys on the Radio, one of those three, and you should be able to find us. And thinking about it, yeah, I think we said everything that we're doing right now.
Yeah.
So, and we'll say, it's funny, I want to say tune into this show in the future with Anthony and I, but frankly, that future show could appear before this one, right? So it's really frustrating. I think I might have to get Anthony to sadly re Photoshop or re-edit one of our pictures, depending on when this is coming out. Sniff, sniff. Um, but yeah, that's how the world works. It's sad, but it's just how it is.
It's an imperfect world. We have to make imperfect choices.
I was hoping you'd do that, and I hate you so much for doing it. All right, everybody. So thank you all. Have a good night, and say good night, Anthony.
Good night, everybody.